Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Saturday, June the 14th. Got a couple of big anniversaries or birthdays today. Happy number 250 to the U.S. Army. You know, I didn't think about this until the other day, but the U.S. Army was founded a year before the nation or before the Declaration of Independence. I didn't think about that all those years that I had said happy birthday to the U.S. Army. I never connected the fact that they were founded in 1775 or started in 1775, and the Declaration of Independence, of course, wasn't until a year later. So, one of those little historical details that, as they like to say. And then, of course, the other big one today is Flag Day. This is, Wave Your Flag Day. And I've got a little flag back there. I think you can see it. There's that picture of right behind me. There's the picture of President Reagan when he was inaugurated. And then on top of that, you see the U.S. flag. That picture of Reagan is 1981. And it's not a real picture. It's, one of these copies they send you when you contribute to the campaign or whatever. But it's a great picture. And I've had it in that frame for quite some time. But there's a little flag on top of it, which is my celebration of Flag Day today. So if you see the flag, salute the flag. And if you know someone in the U.S. Army, our son was in the U.S. Army. Today is anniversary number 250, or birthday number 250 in the case of the U.S. Army. Well, the operation in Israel and Iran continues just like I thought it would. It does appear that the Iranians are getting hit very hard. And there's a rumor, and you gotta always make sure that you don't get caught up in rumors. One of the problems with the internet, especially with the iPhones, is that everybody's posting things. But there is a story, and I tend to believe this one. I'm going to believe this one, that they're seeing a lot of planes leaving Tehran, and they believe that those are some of the high-ranking people who are getting the heck out of the country. And where they're going, I'm not sure. But these, that always happens when any regime collapses or starts to collapse. Many people begin to get out. And so you never know. Now, it could also be diplomats. It could also be diplomats in Tehran who are getting out or getting their families out. So, we don't know exactly who's in the plane, other than planes have been seen leaving Tehran airport, according to a story that I saw. Well, the big story today, the big story today is this shooting up in Minnesota. And this is really scary. You have a man, maybe more than one, not clear about that, but a man in a police uniform shows up at a house. Naturally, you're going to answer the door and open the door when you see a police officer on the other side. And he shoots the people there. They happen to be a lady who is a state representative and former speaker of their house, and her husband. And then another person is killed. Again, I don't know if the same person killed him, but that he was the person who was shot at the other house was a state senator and his wife. Now, the state senator and wife are in the hospital. They're in intensive care, so we pray for their recovery. Unfortunately, the other couple, the representative and her husband, are both dead. And that is really a terrible tragedy. Now, we don't know too much about anything, which is why it's always extremely important when these things happen not to get caught up in everything going through your iPhone. Other than they are representatives or state representatives, the lady was a state representative and the gentleman was a senator, the other one who was shot. Other than that, we don't really know much more. We do know a few things that have come out. First of all, both of them had voted not long ago to prevent illegal aliens or undocumented, whatever you want to call them, people in Minnesota to receive health care benefits. And it was a very close vote from what I understand. And this lady, shifted her vote, I guess, with the Republicans to vote against, and so did the gentleman who's a state senator. So both of these people had cast very controversial votes in their party, basically breaking with their party and going with the Republican. In that case, I think it's a Republican minority in both houses to vote against this program of giving, health care to illegal aliens. Whether that's all connected to the shooting, I have no idea. And I know that there's a lot of stuff that I'm seeing on the internet about this and this and this and that. I think they have identified the shooter. They have identified him. There's a picture of him running around, and I don't know what to say other than that. So I don't like to jump to conclusions, when these things happen, because there's a lot of tempting conclusions you want to jump to. I mean, you've got people already in the internet saying that the guy who shot them was an irritated Democrat or an angry Democrat who was angry at their vote. I have no idea if that's true. I don't know, other than that's what's going around. So I think it would be better right now just for everybody to sit back. The only thing I can confirm is that they did vote in the House and in the Senate in Minnesota against this bill giving health care to illegals. They did vote for that. And in the case of the lady, it was a very controversial vote. And there's a video of her expressing her regret, not her regret, but the difficulty that she had in casting that vote. But she was saying that they were trying to do a budget, and this was the only way they could do the budget or pass the budget. So she voted that way. So we will wait for more information, but it is a tragic situation when state legislators get killed. And part of the reason is that a lot of these state legislators, most of them don't have security. They live in regular homes. Like the mayor of my city, he lives in a regular house. And city council people, they live in a regular house with everybody else. They go to the same parks, the churches, like everybody else. So they're easy targets, unfortunately, for somebody who's got ideas like this. And that, I think, is what we have to be thankful for, that, we have people who are willing to serve. But it's scary. It's scary. I mean, what happened to these two people up in Minnesota is very sad. And we will wait for more information. And I'll, if I have more information, I'll be happy to analyze it or discuss it. But at the moment, I just don't want to jump to a lot of conclusions, because a lot of these things turned out to be wrong. And I don't want to be out there promoting something I'm not sure about. The only thing I know is that they're Democrat representatives and senator, and the other state representative and state senator. And the other thing I know is that she had voted. They both had voted against that proposal, and that there's a video of her explaining her vote and how difficult it was that she had to vote that way. Basically, what she was saying in that video is that she did it in order to pass the budget. So, but our sympathies with their families. And man, what a horrific thing! A man dressed up as a police officer shows up in your house. That's something to think about, to say the least. Just very quickly, changing topics. This Senator Padilla from California made a total fool out of himself. That's all I can tell you. The Secret Service protecting Secretary Nome did exactly what they're trained to do. If somebody breaks into a news conference and they don't know who this guy is, they're going to put him down. So they did exactly what the Secret Service is trained to do. And Padilla is making a big story about this, but it isn't a big story. He's the one who brought this about by breaking in. If he wanted to come in a graceful and respectful way, he could have identified himself at the door, and he could have said to the person at the door, whoever was there from the secretary's team, he could have said, "Look, I would like to talk to the secretary." And I'm pretty sure the Secretary Nome would have spoken with him. She's a pretty sharp lady, and she's not going to be afraid of discussing the topic with anybody. So, but I think, again, Padilla made a fool out of himself. I can tell you. Well, there's this big march, and I don't know how big it is, honestly. I'm going to make a prediction. I don't think it's going to be as big as they think it is. Some places it will be. Okay, some places, yes, they will be. I think overall, the overall turnout is not going to be that big. And let's begin with the title of this march. It's called No King's Day. Well, who's the king? Who are they talking about? I mean, who's the king that they're objecting to, that they're talking about? I mean, who are they talking about? Donald Trump, President Trump, who just won the election and he carried 40 states and 80% of the counties and popular vote. And he brought in a Republican Senate and he kept a Republican House. Is that what we're talking about here? Is that the kind of king we're talking about? Or, the kind of king who's got to deal with district judges who stop what he's trying to do and then he's got to go to an appeal court to put it back on track? I mean, I don't know of too many kings in the history of the world who tolerate stuff like that. They usually don't. If you're I don't know, name whatever king you want to name, and you go out and you try to march like this and humiliate him like this in a public march, they're going to put you out. They're going to pick you up and they're going to throw you in jail or perhaps even cut your head off. So the whole name of the march is idiotic. No King's Day. Well, again, what king are we talking about? There is no king. We don't have a king in the United States. We have a president named Donald Trump. If you don't like him, that's fine. You can dislike him all you want, but don't engage in this kind of silly and absolutely silly idea of naming it No King's Day. The other thing too that is, and I think a lot of Democrats are starting to get this kind of thing is not, this kind of behavior of these marches and these radical people out there talking about how Trump is a king or a dictator. That stuff is not working for them. That stuff is not working for them. Look at the polling data. It's not working for them. It's not working for them. Trump is beating the crap out of them when it comes to immigration and when it comes to law and order. And these guys are sitting there talking about a king. I don't know. I think the ones who probably need to go back to school and take a history class and know a little bit about what a real king is. Well, we had one called King George, and we overthrew him back in 1770. Well, probably took a little later than that. 76 is when we declared independence. 83, I think, is when the war was finally over. But I mean, 17, my gosh, Trump now is a king. I mean, that's about as foolish of anything as I've heard. Again, you may not like him. You can vote against him. You can disagree with his policy. That's fine. That's all within common sense. But when you get into all this garbage about dictator and king, I think you let us know how little you really know about anything. And that's all I can say. Well, Sunday is Father's Day. So I just want to wish all the dads out there a happy, very happy Father's Day. It's one of those days. I don't think Father's Day is as big as Mother's Day, and that's okay with me. I've never had any problem with that because mothers are super special. So as a father, I've never, I think I understand why Mother's Day is bigger, and I hope it always is, because I think Mother's Day should always be bigger. But, Father's Day is important to celebrate the importance and the role of our fathers in our lives. In my particular case, had a great father who passed away almost 10 years ago. And, always miss him, always realize how lucky I was to have a man like that as a father. So happy Father's Day to all of you. Enjoy yourselves. And we'll talk to you later. We'll probably be chatting with our friend George Rodriguez Sunday night. And we'll get into a lot of the political stuff. Happy Father's Day, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas.